On behalf of our beloved Guru Dev, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we thank you for coming to Sri Radha Gopinath's Sunday festival. One day in Jagannath Puri, Lord Chaitanya asked a very apparently unusual question to one of his very dear devotees. There's a village called Srikanda, which is near Kantak Nagar or Katwa, where many great personalities resided. There was Mukunda Das or Mukunda Sarkar was the physician of the king of Bengal. His younger brother was Narahari, and Mukunda's son is named Raghunandan. So Lord Chaitanya asked Mukunda, "Are you the father of Raghunandan, and he your son? Or are you the son of Raghunandan, and he your father?" Mukunda Das immediately answered, with great conviction from his heart. He said, "Raghunandan is my father, and I am his son. Because it is by his inspiration that we have all absorbed ourselves in devotional service. It is by his devotion that he has inspired all of our family on the path of bhakti." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very pleased. And he confirmed what Mukunda said. He said, "Yes, whoever inspires us on the path of bhakti, he is our senior. He is like our father." You know the story. There was deity of Gopinath in the house, and Mukunda would every day make offerings to Gopinath, very nice offerings. But one day, before the Rajbhog offering was to be made, he was called for some service that could not be avoided. So he asked his little son, who was about 4 or 5 years old, "You make the offering. Just tell Gopinath to eat, he will eat." So mother brought plate. Raghunandan brought the plate in. He chanted some mantra and said, "Gopinath, please eat." And Gopinath ate, and it became prasad. But he saw the food was still on the plate. He said, "Gopinath, please eat." But Gopinath already ate, but the food was still on the plate. So he started to cry, "I am so fallen. I am so lowly that you will not accept my offering. Please, please eat." He was crying. This is a reason to cry. When we feel that our service is not adequate to the Lord, when the Lord is not pleased with us, that is the most valid reason to cry. So he wept, and Gopinath spoke, the deity. He says, "Raghunandan, I already ate. The food is here. With my eyes I have accepted your love, and I have tasted your offering." "Raghunandan, I don't know all this high philosophy. All I know is the food is still here, and my father asked me to offer it to you, and he said you would eat, and you have not eaten." So Gopinath came right down off his altar and with his hands he picked up the food and ate the entire plate. Raghunandan took it off the altar and gave it to his mother. Now, mothers, what would you think about all this? He was on the altar for a long time. He said, where is the prasad? He said, Gopinath ate it. As a matter of fact. Shortly after, Mukunda came home and asked his wife, please bring me prasad. And wife said, you should ask your son about prasad. What do you mean? Ask your son. He said, bring me prasad. He said, there is no prasad. What? What do you mean there is no? Every day you give me prasad. He said, no, Gopinath ate it all. Now, father understood the mercy of the Lord, and he also understood the special devotion in his son's mind. So he did not disbelieve him, but he wanted to see for himself. He gave Raghunandan a big laddu and said, offer this to Gopinath. And Gopinath was offered laddu. And meanwhile, through the door, little distance away, Mukunda was secretly watching. And he saw him ask Gopinath to eat. Gopinath glanced, and Raghunandan cried, and Gopinath came and ate half the laddu. He was eating the laddu, and Mukunda was so amazed by this, he came running to the door, and as soon as the Lord saw Mukunda was there, he put down the other half and went back on the altar. And Mukunda Sarkar kept that half laddu as such a sacred remnant of prasad. In fact, it is said that even today that half laddu is still present in the temple. For generations and generations they kept that laddu to testify the love of Raghunandan. Raghunandan Thakur worshipped his deity with so much devotion, and he was very happy offering kadamba flowers. Because of his desire, just outside of the temple, there was a kadamba tree. And every single day, 365 days a year, exactly 2 fully blossomed, fragrant kadamba flowers were on the branches of that tree for him to offer to Gopinath. He was the disciple of his uncle, Narahari Sarkar. Now, this Narahari Sarkar was a very close personal associate of Lord Chaitanya. He was the son of Narayan Das and Goyi Mataji. And there was Mukunda, Madhava, and Narahari, 3 brothers. After his father passed away from this world, when Narahari was young, Mukunda, his elder brother, sent him to Navadvip to study, because Navadvip was most famous and glorious of all places for learning at that time. So it was there in Navadvip that Narahari became a very loving friend and devotee of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. In those days, Gadadhar Pandit was a constant associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Narahari Sarkar became like the 3rd member of that wonderful association of great souls. In fact, Narahari Sarkar, his special service for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to fan him with the Chamara. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, and we see this nice painting by Srila Haridas Thakur, where it is being revealed to our very eyes. When Srila Prabhupada saw the paintings that were made by his followers, he proclaimed that these are windows into the spiritual world. And that is to be understood quite literally as well. Because when a sincere devotee with the blessings of Guru and the Vaishnava paints, then why will Krishna not be present in that offering of art? When we install the deities with the blessings of Guru, Krishna will be there to accept our offerings. So Prabhupada told that when his artists, when they paint under the order of Guru with the blessings of the Vaishnavas and with sincere feeling, then the spiritual world actually manifests. Windows into the spiritual world. When we were in Vrindavan, our dear god sister Jagatarini explained a story of Prabhupada, how he was just looking at a painting of Krishna in Vrindavan, and he was seeing Vrindavan. It was like he was looking through the window of his home into the spiritual world. It wasn't like it was a representation. Krishna's here. Krishna reveals himself according to our surrender. According to the quality of our surrender, our humility, our devotion, our love, according to our willingness to serve, Krishna reciprocates. Krishna will manifest himself most gloriously in the form of the deity, in wonderful paintings, in the words of the Gita, the Bhagavatam, and other holy scriptures. Krishna will reveal himself in the hearts of the devotees to us. He will reveal himself in his holy names. Everything is dependent on our attitude, because Krishna reciprocates with our service attitude. Because the service attitude is what surrender is about. Surrender is not a harsh and horrible defeat. Surrender is the most beautiful, sweet offering of our love in our heart through our desire to serve and please the Lord. And Krishna reveals himself accordingly. Back to the story. So Narahari Sarkar was very, very great devotee. He blessed so many great souls, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivasa Acharya, Shyamananda Prabhu. During Ratha Yatra, every year in Jagannath Puri, Narahari Sarkar was, along with Raghunandan, the chief dancer for one of the 7 Sankirtan parties that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally organized. Many years later, Narahari Sarkar, who was very old, Lord Chaitanya had already disappeared from the world, the Lord with Nityananda Prabhu, Swarup Damodar Goswami, and so many of his associates. The love that Vaishnavas, who have pure hearts, have for each other is so deep, so real, and so sublime. Because to love a Vaishnava is to love Krishna. Because when a devotee surrenders to Krishna, Krishna manifests himself through that devotee's heart. And therefore the love of Krishna is manifested between 2 pure devotees. So there was a devotee living not far from Sri Khanda, in Katwa. His name, Gadadhar Das. Gadadhar Das was one of the very favorite devotees of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. It is described in Gaur Ganodashtapika that he is the incarnation of Srimati Radharani's glow, her effulgence of love. And his mercy was extraordinary. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent Nityananda Prabhu to go to Bengal to preach, some of the best of all the devotees he instructed to accompany Nityananda Prabhu and remain in his service. The chief two were Ramdas or Abhiram Thakur and Gadadhar Das. And we have often told the wonderful story of Gadadhar Das, how fearless he was. In the town he was living, which is not very far from Calcutta, there was a Qazi who hated Hindus. In fact, it was a pleasure for him to arrest, to torture, to plunder, and to kill Hindus. And anyone who defied his instruction, his order, the order was, no Hindu is allowed to publicly proclaim the names of God or practice in public. And anyone who did that, anyone who out of their house or even kept the window open and said the name and it came outside, he considered it as defiance to his authority and his envy and hatred vented on that person to punish them severely. And he had military armies and soldiers under his command. Very powerful, very fearful. A cultured person, if a wind touched the Qazi's body and then touched them, they would jump in the Ganges to purify themselves. This is how he was feared because of his cruelty. So one night, Gadadhar Das just was in a very compassionate spirit. So he just ran right into Chand Qazi's house late at night and screamed out in a tumultuous voice, "Qazi! Qazi! You fool! You are a fool! Chant the holy names of Lord Hari! Chant Hari Hari! Hari Hari! Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have descended into this world just to deliver fools and rascals like you, and everyone is chanting except you, rascal Qazi. Chant Hari Hari, or I will today cut your head off." Now, the house was filled with guards, but they were so shocked that anyone could have the courage to do this. They didn't know what to do. They just stood there watching. And Chand Qazi was woken from his sleep to hear him call a rascal and his head was going to be cut off. He came running down as angry as fire to kill this defiant person. And when he saw Gadadhar Das looked so peaceful, and he was so full of love and compassion that he became calm. And he said, "Gadadhar Das, it's the middle of the night. Just go home." Gadadhar Das said, "No! Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda has come. They have descended to this world to give everyone love of God. Take the names Hari Hari. I have come to insist that you chant Hari Hari." Hari Hari. And Qazi said, "Just go home. Let me sleep. Tomorrow I will say Hari Hari." When Gadadhar heard from his demoniac lips Hari Hari, Gadadhar became ecstatic. He started leaping and jumping and crying, "Hari Hari! Hari Hari! Why tomorrow? Today your lips vibrated the holy names. And he was dancing all over the house in ecstasy. Chandkazi didn't know what to do. Not Chandkazi, the Kazi. He didn't know. But he chanted the name of Hari. Gadadhar does it. Now Krishna Prem will awaken in your heart. And then he danced out of the house in ecstasy. So that was the fearless nature. So many, many, many years passed. And Gadadhar Das was living in Kantak Nagar, Katwa. And there he worshipped a beautiful deity of Lord Gauranga. And his chief disciple was Yadunandanacharya. When Gadadhar Das disappeared from the world, Narahari Sarkar in Srikhanda, he heard the story. And from that day on, he just went into seclusion. Practically didn't eat or sleep. In separation from the Lord and in separation from such a devotee and such a friend, Gadadhar Das, Narahari simply absorbed himself in constantly chanting the holy names, and in ecstatic love and separation remembered the Lord. After some time, while chanting Harinam, Narahari Sarkar, in his old age, left this world. And Raghunandan, his disciple, and the other members of the community of Srikhanda were very much in the ecstatic spirit of separation from his loving, merciful association. Meanwhile, Srinivasacharya, who was next generation of Vaishnavas, he was living in Jajigram, which is actually just between Katwa and Srikhanda. And he was informed by Yadunandan Acharya that we are going to have a wonderful, wonderful celebration on the first anniversary of the disappearance of my Guru Maharaj, Gadadhar Das. And Raghunandan Thakur then informed Srinivasacharya, if all great personalities are coming to Katwa, then we should also have festival for the disappearance of Narahari Sarkar in Srikhanda. In fact, Raghunandan told Srinivasacharya that whatever remaining associates of Lord Chaitanya are in this area, they will all attend, they have told me, including Nityananda Prabhu's one and only son, Virabhadra. So this was going to be a glorious festival. So all these great Mahants, amongst them were the two brothers of Srivas Thakur, Sripati and Srinidhi. Two of the sons of Advaitacharya, Krishna Mishra and Sri Gopal. And so many other associates of Lord Chaitanya. Headed by Virachandra, Nityananda Nandana. So they all assembled in Jajigram, where they were greeted, and they were brought to Katwa, where they observed the ceremony of Gadadhar Das's disappearance. And then, with Sankirtan procession, they moved toward Srikhanda. Now, the simple villagers of Srikhanda were so very, very happy. They were just, their hearts were leaping in joy that all of these greatest personalities, the most purified Mahants in the entire earth, they're all coming to our simple village. And they greeted on the roadside with kirtan and offerings and so much love and devotion. And all of the great personalities were so deeply moved by the hospitality of the Srikhndvasis. headed by Raghunandan Thakur. Raghunandan Thakur had many, many disciples, and they all, day and night, just prepared to make beautiful arrangements for the comforts and the happiness of the guests that were coming. They provided the best possible facilities that they could, and they had wonderful prasad, but most of all, just the emotions of their gratitude. The heart of a Vaishnav is the heart of gratitude. Without gratitude, bhakti cannot grow very well. This is a principle of Vaishnav hospitality. That when someone comes to your home or someone comes to your village, what you give them is an external thing. You can give them nice food. You could give them a nice, comfortable sitting place. That is nice. But these are all actually expressions. They may satisfy the belly and the mind of someone, and may satisfy his body if he has a nice sitting place or place to lay down. But actually what satisfies the heart is the intent. So when Vaishnavas are dealing with other Vaishnavas, they actually are meant to express their profound joy and gratitude that you are here. Huh? If you come to someone's home and they offer you some nice things, but you feel that actually they're really anxious that I get out of here. I'm bothering them, I'm disturbing them too much. You don't feel very good in heart, do you? But if you feel that they're just overjoyed that you have come, just stay forever. I'm so grateful. That's hospitality. And it's best if you actually mean it. If you don't mean it, at least you're supposed to act that way. As a regulative principle, you should act that way. But amongst devotees who have this love and affection and respect for each other, they actually mean it. Trinadapi sunichena taror iva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Devotees are humble. Devotees are tolerant. Devotees offer all respect to others. They expect none in return. They're always chanting the holy names. Therefore, their heart is pure. And they actually recognize this is the Lord's devotee. What a glorious, unprecedented opportunity in my life to have a chance to serve a Vaishnava. And please know that these devotees are living amongst Vaishnavas 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, their whole life. There's no shortage of Vaishnava association. But still they're thinking like this. Sometimes if you're living somewhere in the Middle East and there's no devotees around, and then someone comes, you're happy, you're grateful, I can actually say the name of Krishna to someone now. Yes, you're happy. But it shouldn't be limited to that desperate situation. These devotees are living in Srikhanda. The whole village is nothing but Vaishnavas. When they have a chance to serve another Vaishnava, their hearts are just erupting with joy. The Lord's associates are coming. They were so grateful. What an exchange of love was taking place. It was incredible. This is actual hospitality. But Prabhupada explains, whatever the intent of your heart is, has no meaning and no value unless it is expressed through your words and actions. If a guest comes to your house and you're, I'm so grateful. I just take the dust of his feet on my head hundreds and millions of times at every second. And the person just standing there, he doesn't know what to do or where, I'm just so grateful. You're just meditating on how grateful you are that he has come, and Krishna, thank you, thank you, thank you. You've given me the association of a devotee. That's not hospitality. What we feel in our heart must come out of our mouth, if it's good. If it's favorable for Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it shouldn't come out of your mouth. This is tapasya. Tapo divyam putrakayena satvam sujyeryasyam brahmasokyam tvanantam. If you want to be happy, you have to perform tapasya. And what is tapasya? To accept what's favorable for devotional service and reject what's unfavorable. If we're feeling envy or criticism to a devotee, we should just lock our mouths shut until we could say something good. Yes? But if we're feeling love and devotion, we should speak. And we should act. That is service. That is hospitality. That is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said makes a devotee beautiful in the eyes of Krishna. The observance of Vaishnav etiquette. Vaishnav etiquette is speaking properly, acting properly, according to our relationship with a particular devotee, and most of all, it is most pleasing to Krishna when it comes from our very heart and soul. So yes, the inhabitants of Srikhanda, they just were overjoyed with bliss. They were dancing and singing and practically weeping that these great souls have come to our village. They were so grateful. They made every possible arrangement, scrutinizingly, just doing everything possible to make them happy and comfortable. And Raghunandan Thakur was organizing everything. They were praying amongst themselves. It's only 4 days till the disappearance day of Narahari Sarkar. We pray that these great Mahatmas will stay until that day. Now Narahari Sarkar left this world on an Ekadasi. Gadadhar Das, along with his disciples and other friends, they decorated Narahari Sarkar's deity's temple magnificently. The temple of Lord Gauranga. Then he made a beautiful pandal and decorated it so nicely with all sorts of flowers and garlands and other ornamentations. And then he invited everyone into the pandal. And when the Mahants saw the decorations, they were very, very happy. It's an expression of devotion, expression of love. To make decorations for festivals, according to Rupa Goswami, it's actually one of the limbs of bhakti. It's one of the regulative principles that we should follow, to observe these festivals in such a way. Because it's a way of expressing our sincere devotion to the Lord, to all the assembled devotees and guests that may be coming, to create an environment where everyone's devotion will just soar higher and higher and higher. And then all the great Mahatmas, associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, requested Srinivasacharya, who was much, much younger than all of them, to recite Srimad Bhagavatam the whole day. And Raghunandan Thakur was very, very happy about this. So Srinivasacharya, with great humility, went to each and every one of the senior devotees and offered his prostrated obeisances. Then he took the holy dust from their lotus feet and placed it on the top of his head. And with folded palms and such a sincere and humble heart, he begged those devotees, one after another, for their blessings and permission to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, Srinivasacharya is a great, great scholar. He knew the Bhagavatam so thoroughly that previously in Vana Vishnupuram, that King Virambir, who was actually a king of dacoits, highway robbers, they plundered innocent people's wealth to build up their treasury. They were cruel-hearted people. But when King Virambir, the king of Vana Vishnupuram, heard Srinivasacharya recite Srimad Bhagavatam so sweetly, with so much knowledge, realization, and devotion, that the king surrendered, became a Paramhamsa Vaishnav, a Rajarishi. That was the power of Srinivasacharya. He initiated King Virambir, initiated his wife, and then he initiated almost everyone in the entire kingdom. Can you imagine what type of kingdom that was? Practically every man, woman, and child was an initiated disciple of Srinivasacharya, and every morning and every evening the entire kingdom came together for Sankirtan of the holy names. However, when Srinivasacharya was in the presence of senior Vaishnavas, he was very humble. He was always very humble. But in their presence, he begged for their order, begged for their permission, begged for their blessings. This is Vaishnava etiquette. If you do not have these qualities, nothing you do will really please Krishna fully. If we do not have this type of respect and humility towards seniors, then there is a blemish on whatever we do. Srinivasacharya was the guru of a king, a powerful king. He was the guru of an entire kingdom. Srinivasacharya had some of the most learned scholar Brahmins as his disciples. Ramchandra Kaviraj, Govinda Kaviraj. These men were empowered, eternal associates of the Lord who have descended from the spiritual world, and they were his disciples. But still, in front of his seniors, even in the presence of his disciples, when he approached his seniors, he was like a child, like he didn't know anything, just begging for mercy. This is Vaishnava society. And they just showered their mercy and blessings upon him and touched his head and said, "Speak the Bhagavad. This is what we want. Do not have any reservations that because we're senior to you, you should not speak in our presence. We want you to speak. Speak." Sometimes Prabhupada would do that, his disciples, even new disciples. Sometimes they weren't even initiated. They'd sit, Prabhupada would chant Radha Madhava, and everybody would there be eager to have him speak. And Prabhupada would look at one of his disciples and say, "You give class today." Very difficult. One time, one sannyasi in Vrindavan, he was sitting. This is when they were still constructing Krishna Balaram temple. There was only a few devotees living there, just living in little huts. And the construction work was just starting, and it was messy, and just not too many devotees wanted to live there at that time. Because we have some experience here what it's like living in a construction site. So there was just maybe a couple dozen devotees. And in the morning, Prabhupada was just outside of his little hut, and in Vrindavan, and chants Radha Madhava. Then he turned to one of his sannyasi disciples and said, you give class today. And it's not that Prabhupada went to his room to listen on a speaker or anything like that. He was sitting right there. Prabhupada was looking down at him. You give class. Now, how many of you would feel comfortable with Prabhupada sitting right in front of you, listening to your class? I'm a small person, but I would probably shrink to a practically an invisible size if I was in that situation. So this sannyasi, who's actually a very good speaker, knew the Shastra very well and was preaching around the world, just speak. So words were coming out, and everybody there was shocked, because usually he gives such good classes. But all the assembled devotees, nobody knew what he was talking about. It was totally incoherent. He was just like mixing verses and then forgetting verses and then speaking one sentence and then another sentence that didn't relate to that. The second half of the sentence didn't relate to the first half of the sentence. And devotee, what is he saying? What is he doing? They couldn't believe it. He's such a clear, empowered speaker. And he spoke for a while, and the devotees were really feeling sorry for him. They were feeling he must be, this Swamiji must be so utterly embarrassed to just be babbling like a fool in front of his guru. And all the assembled devotees, they were feeling sympathy. And after the class, Prabhupada, in ecstasy practically, he said, "Very good class, very good. I'm very proud of you." So sometimes they do that. So the great Mahatmas told Srinivasacharya, "We wish to hear you speak." So with so much humility and so much devotion, he spoke from the Bhagavatam, from the morning all the way till the evening. And he spoke so excellently that the entire audience, and please understand, there was a large crowd. Because when the entire village of Srikhanda, they all attended, and all neighboring villages and towns, when they heard all these Mahatmas were assembled in Srikhanda, and they're going to have a festival for the great Narahari Sarkar, just thousands and thousands and thousands of people assembled. As Srinivasacharya, the whole day spoke Bhagavad Katha with great emotion, feeling, and tremendous knowledge. And people, the great Mahants, the associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, were speaking amongst themselves. Would you like to hear some of the things that they were saying? One said to the others that it appears that Sukadev Goswami has personally appeared within the body of Srinivasacharya to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. And another person said, I believe that he is being fully, divinely empowered by Srila Vedavyas himself. And another said, I could understand that he has received the complete mercy and blessings of Gadadhar Pandit, his teacher of Bhagavatam, to speak in this way. And somebody else said that Lord Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu has appeared in Srinivasacharya's heart to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam for all of us. When the evening came, Srinivasacharya ended his discussion. His voice was sweet like a cuckoo bird. He enchanted everyone's hearts. Then, for the deity of Lord Gauranga, which was the personal deity of Narahari Sarkar. Beautiful, beautiful, golden complexion. You have seen the Murti, many of you. It's in a beautiful little temple. And year after year after year, Narahari Sarkar worshipped Gauranga. His life, his soul, his everything was that deity. And whenever any visitor came to Sri Khanda from any place to visit Narahari Sarkar, he would immediately bring them for the pleasure of Gauranga. This is life and soul. So then, in honor of Narahari Sarkar, there was the Arti of Sri Gauranga. After the Arti, Raghunandan Thakur approached all the Mahants and asked if we can begin our Sankirtan. And they all gave blessings. So how the Sankirtan was performed was something wonderful to hear. If we hear this story with faith and attentiveness, our lives will never ever be the same. Krishna Prem will just awaken within our heart. Raghunandan Thakur brought all the Mahants into the Kirtan hall, which was decorated with so much attention. It was beautiful. And they all stood before the deity of Gauranga, just immersed in his resplendent beauty during the arti. And then they brought in the instruments. And all of the kirtan singers first came to the senior Vaishnavas and fell at their feet and begged their permission to perform Sankirtan, led by Raghunandan himself. They gave their blessings. Then Raghunandan had brought in many, many containers. Each container had a separate little bowl of chandan, sandalwood pulp, flowers, and a garland. And first, he went to the associates of Lord Chaitanya, Sri Gopal, the son of Advaita, and Krishna Mishra, and placed garlands on them. Raghunandan did with his own hands, placed garlands upon them, and then placed chandan upon them, and then bowed down and took the dust from their feet. And then he went to the brothers of Srivas, Sripati, Srinidhi, and did the same. And then he came to the very special guest of honor, Bira Chandra, the son of Nityananda Prabhu. He placed the garland on Nityananda Prabhu, put chandan on his body, and offered prayers. Virachandra called Srinivasacharya and told him, "Bring me a garland." And Srinivasacharya came quickly and brought him one of the containers. And Virachandra very affectionately placed garland on Raghunandan and then put chandan on Raghunandan. And Raghunandan Thakur, in the presence of Virachandra, who was so senior to him, he stood there in great embarrassment. He just looked down at the ground, ashamed that he was accepting service from such a great avatar of the Lord. So what did he do? In response, he put a garland on his junior, Srinivasacharya, and decorated him with chandan. And then Srinivasacharya looked down at the ground, very ashamed to be accepting service from such a senior devotee. And meanwhile, all the devotees began doing this, just putting garlands on each other, and their hearts were just overflowing with divine happiness in this environment of loving exchanges. Then, as the kirtan was to begin, They worshipped each and every kirtan instrument. Raghunandan Thakur went to every single set of karatals and with folded hands offered his obeisances to the karatals, and then put a special little karatal garland around the karatals, and then decorate very, very lovingly with chandan. And then he went to each and every mridanga, and he had a special garlands made just to fit the mridangas, and placed that around and decorated the mridanga drum with chandan and flowers, offering worship. Why did he do like this? Because the mridanga and the karatals are the personal paraphernalia of the Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, they are worshipable. They're worshipable because they are holy paraphernalia, the puja paraphernalia for the highest form of all worship, which is Sankirtan. In the age of Kali, there is no more sacred or elevated form of yajna or puja than Harinam Kirtan. Srila Prabhupada explained to us many times the great importance of deity worship. But he said if we have no temples and no deities, we could still perfect our lives and bring the world back to Godhead if we continue to perform Harinam Sankirtan. It is all we really need. The most worshipable of all deities is the holy name. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Ras Vigraha. The holy name is Chintamani. It will fulfill all the innermost soul's desires. Why? Because the name is none different than Krishna. Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. In the age of Kali, Krishna has descended in his name. The name is deity, the supreme of all deities. There are 9 processes of devotional service. Sravana Kirtana Smarana Bandhana Pada Sevana Dasare Pujana Sakijana Atmani Vedana. One of the 9 processes of devotional service is puja, worshipping the deities. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on many occasions proclaimed that of all the 9 processes of devotional service, Sarvabhauma Padacharya asked him, what is the most important? Mahaprabhu said, the chanting of the holy names. He told the inhabitants of Kulinagram that simply chanting the holy names with attentiveness, avoiding the offenses, just by chanting the holy name, one fulfills and perfects the execution of all the 9 processes of devotional service. Harinama, Harinama, Harinameva Kevalam Kalona Steva Nasteva Nasteva Gatiranyata. There's no other way in the age of Kali. Aho bata svapachotogadiyam, even if one is born in a lowest, most degraded, sinful family of dog eaters, if that person is sincerely chanting the holy names without offense, not only will he deliver himself, but he can be fit to deliver the world. Even such a person who chants the holy name is to be understood to have already performed all types of purification, gone to all holy places, performed all the different types of yajnas. That is the power of the holy name. So for Pujari, the ghee lamp, the paraphernalia that we dress the deity with is kept very nice. It is worshipable. But the mridanga and kartals are the puja paraphernalia, the associates of Harinam Sankirtan. Therefore so worshipable. With great reverence, love, and devotion, Raghunandan Thakur performed formal puja for the instruments. And then once again taking the blessings of the Mahants, they began chanting. So sweet, with so much feeling and attention. They were chanting the holy names. And soon, people began to dance. And then, the most glorious event took place. Would you like to hear? Virachandra, the son of Nityananda Prabhu, rose to his feet and danced. The beauty of his dancing hypnotized, intoxicated everyone's hearts. Because when great souls dance, they're not just doing a performance. They're not just getting some spiritual exercise. Every movement of every limb is manifestation of their heart's love. Their every limb is moving on the prema in their heart is like the puppeteer. And every movement of their body is like a puppet moving, pulled by the strings of their ecstatic love for Krishna. That is actual Sankirtan. That is the Sankirtan of Mahaprabhu and his associates. That is the Sankirtan that is eternally taking place in the spiritual world of Goloka. Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. That this Harinam Sankirtan has descended from Goloka Vrindavan. Some misinformed people, they believe that yes, this Nam Kirtan is very good. By performing Nam Kirtan, you will attain liberation. Recently, one very nice devotee told me that they were in Himalayas, and one very famous learned sage of Himalayas saw that she was chanting on beads. He said, "This is very good. Very good you are chanting on beads. Very good. But don't get too attached to your chanting. Because this chanting will elevate you and purify your heart. But ultimately, you have to detach yourself from everything, including chanting the holy names. If you're too attached to your chanting, you will have to take another birth in this world." How many of you agree with this philosophy? Speaking with great power. That means they're thinking that Krishna, his deity, his name, they are temporarily residing within this, that Brahman. Brahman descends into this world as the name of God and the deity of God and the kata of the Lord, just to attach our hearts to the Lord. But then ultimately, we have to give all these things up if we want to enter Brahman. But we learn from Narottam Das Thakur and from all the holy scriptures that the holy name is the eternal embodiment of Krishna's full mercy. Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarvatiktis. That Krishna's name is non-different than Krishna. All the powers, opulences, and sweetness of Krishna are there as the name. Golokera Premadana. What is happening in the spiritual world beyond the Brahmajyoti, beyond the impersonal conception of mukti, is the eternal planets of Vaikuntha and Goloka. And what is the eternal activity of everyone? Kirtaniya Sadahari. Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantas Chadritavrata. Everyone is eternally expressing their love for the Lord by chanting the holy name. Prabhupada said the ends and the means are the same in bhakti. He was asked, what will your followers get by constantly chanting Hare Krishna? He said, what will they get? They will get entrance into the state of pure love where they will never stop chanting Hare Krishna. Harivo. Tasting the nectar of the name. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha. Krishna's form is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss, the source of everything that exists. So when devotees of the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when they dance in kirtan, this Sankirtan performance is Prem Sankirtan. When Maharaj Prataparudra was in Puri, on the top of his palace, he was watching the devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first coming into Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya. He never saw them before. He didn't know who anyone was. He knew Lord Chaitanya was Krishna himself, tasting the sweetness of Radha's love and distributing it to the world. He knew that. But he didn't know anything about his followers. So Gopinath Acharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya were on the roof with him. And when he saw this kirtan coming in with Gadadhar Pandit, Srivas Thakur, Advaita Acharya, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Haridas Thakur, can you imagine this kirtan? And they were dancing. And their dance was just the movements of pure spiritual love. Lord Chaitanya said when his associates raise their arms in kirtan, the raising of their arms like antennas are spreading the vibration of their heart's love to fill the entire universe. Hare Krishna. He didn't say antennas, but that's what he was saying. When my devotees chant my holy names with love, when they chant the names of Krishna, when they raise their arms, they're raising their arms with such love. The power of the holy name is just generating from their arms and filling the entire universe. Maharaj Prataparudra saw their dancing, heard their singing. And he told Gopinath Acharya and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I have seen thousands and thousands of kirtan parties come into Jagannath Puri. Everyone does all sorts of things. Every sampradaya, every sect, everyone comes to see Jagannath. But I've never seen such a kirtan as this. The way they're moving, the way they're singing, the feeling of their hearts. What is this? And he was told, this is Prem Sankirtan. It is this Prem Sankirtan that has descended from the highest abode of the spiritual world with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he has come to flood the world with the holy name. So Bira Chandra was dancing and singing. The devotees were intoxicated. All they could do was watch him. There was just nothing else anyone could do except just watch him dance. The devotees, every single devotee that was present, was lamenting. Now, in such an ecstatic experience of seeing Bira Chandra dancing right before your eyes, would you lament? How many of you would lament? How many of you would not lament? How many of you are awake? They lamented. I don't know what you would do because you didn't answer, but they were lamenting. Why were they lamenting? They were lamenting that they only had two little eyes to see this magnificent dance of Bira Chandra. He was intoxicating their hearts. And as Bira Chandra was singing, it was so sweet. Everyone was following. And one blind man, a man who was blind from his birth, he asked someone, who is this that's singing? Who is this that's attracting everyone's heart? And someone said, his name is Virachandra. And just by hearing the name Virachandra, his heart melted. He didn't say a single word to anyone. He was just somewhere way in the back. And he was blind. And everyone was just intoxicated by the dance of the Lord. And in his heart, he silently prayed that there's no other desire I have in my life except to have the blessing of seeing him dance for even one moment. Now, according to Guru Ganodesh Dipika, the identity of Virachandra is revealed. How many of you know who he is? According to Kavi Karnapur, the son of Nityananda Prabhu, Virabhadra, is Kshirodakshayi Vishnu. Now, Kshirodakshayi Vishnu is laying in an ocean of milk in each universe. But more important than that, he is directly the super soul in every living being's heart. Paramatma. The Paramatma within the heart of every living entity. Within the heart of the bacteria. Now you may say bacteria don't have hearts, but they do. You just don't, they're not like ours, that's all. Different hearts for different species. But the Paramatma is within, knows every movement of a bacteria. Within every plant, within every fish, within every insect. Vedaham samatitani bharatamamina charjuna bhavashani chabutani mam tu vedana kashtana. Krishna says, I know everything that's happened in the past, all things that are happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come, and I know every living being. The Paramatma is in every living entity's hearts. The insects, the birds, the reptiles, every animal, and every human being. And he's watching. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hritesya arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutana yantra rudani maya. According to our previous desires, according to our previous karmas, it is the Paramatma that is moving our bodies like a machine made of material nature. He knows everything. The Paramatma in your body remembers everything you did when you were a mosquito. Every second of every minute of every life that you've ever had in the past, and it may be millions and millions and millions, the Paramatma remembers everything. So do you think he's not going to take note of what you're thinking, speaking, and doing today? Hare Krishna. The Lord sees from within. So this Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, he knows everything. So Virachandra, who is the avatar of Kshirodakshayi Vishnu, is dancing. But he knew what that blind old man was thinking in his heart. So Virachandra glanced upon that man, and as soon as his glance touched the body of the man, miraculously his eyes opened and he could see the Lord dancing right in front of him. And in ecstasy, mesmerized, he just began leaping and shouting and crying out the holy names. And all the devotees saw this. A blind man. His eyes are open with perfect vision. Seeing Nityananda, seeing the kirtan, intoxicated with love of God, chanting the holy names. All the crowd just was like in a roar of bliss, celebrating the mercy of Virachandra by loudly chanting the holy name. In this atmosphere, the devotees were feeling so deep separation from Lord Chaitanya. They were beside themselves with grief. Gradually, it was just overcoming everyone's heart. The Lord was reciprocating with their enthusiasm and with their devotion. And how does the Lord reciprocate? He begins to awaken within the heart of a devotee feelings of separation. The longing to be with the Lord, the longing to serve the Lord, the longing to make exchanges of love with the Lord. So these great associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who were personally in his company, they began weeping and rolling on the ground, feeling separation from Lord Chaitanya. That was the power of this kirtan. And Raghunandan was dancing so blissfully, and he was oftentimes leading the kirtan. Soon the devotees were so deeply absorbed and just longing for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's presence, just longing to once again see his associates. And those who never saw the Lord were just longing and just feeling, why have I taken birth at such a time when I never got to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? I never got to see Nityananda Prabhu or Advaita or Srivas or any of their associates. Where is Swarup Damodar Goswami? Where is Ramananda Roy? Where are they? Why am I so sinful that I took birth at a time where I never met them? In this way they were weeping and crying and rolling on the ground in separation, and their devotion was so powerful that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the spiritual world was so overcome by it, he could not resist. Before everyone's eyes, suddenly the beautiful golden form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu danced before them in ecstatic love. His long arms raised above his head, his beautiful lotus-like eyes, which practically extended to his ears, were casting loving glances upon all the devotees, his associates, and the next generation of Vaishnavas. Seeing the Lord was the ultimate celebration of their innermost heart's desires, as they all roared in gratitude the holy name. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then personally consoled each and every devotee. By his own divine, mystical way of showing his love, he personally reciprocated with each and every person who was present at that Srikhanda festival. They were all expressing their love for Narahari Sarkar, and therefore the Lord loves those who loves. He loves those who love him. And he loves those who love those who love him. And he loves those who love 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 him. Should I continue? You can't love Krishna without loving his devotees. That is how Krishna sees things. If we actually love a Vaishnava, oh, Krishna becomes so pleased and happy with our temperament. That is Madhyam Adhikari. He not only worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he honors and loves the devotees. We explained how it is explained by Thakur Bhaktivinoda, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as well, that when the beginning of love of God comes into our hearts, we have great love for the Vaishnavas. We have very deep, loving friendship with the Vaishnavas. That's the sign that we're beginning to love Krishna. And when we actually attain the state of pure unalloyed love, then not only Vaishnavas, but we have universal love for every living being. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared and personally consoled the hearts of each and every one of his devotees. They were glorifying Narahari Thakur. They were showing love and respect for each other. In that spirit of such intimate friendship, because they were chanting with so much enthusiasm, the Lord just awakened the love within their heart and then reciprocated by miraculously appearing in person before them. And then he consoled each and every devotee and then disappeared. And in this particular kirtan, the devotees were so happy, so ecstatic. How do you think they reciprocated with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's miraculous mercy of appearing before them and speaking to them? By bowing down to each other, by taking the dust from each other's feet, and by embracing each other with great love. That is how they showed their love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This kirtan continued on until Mangalarti. When Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's beautiful deity form manifested, and all of the followers, this kirtan was too much happiness for everyone. Even just curious people who just heard there's some festival, let's go see. Even they were intoxicated with ecstatic love. Seeing Lord Chaitanya, seeing Virabhadra dance, hearing Raghunandan sing, hearing Srinivasacharya speak. What a festival! How many of you would have liked to have been there? Well, I have good news for you, because at this very moment, you are there. If you're awake and listening. Because transcendental sound is non-different than the transcendental leelas of the Lord and His devotees. Through sound vibration, we are actually witnessing the pastime. It is being enacted within our hearts as we hear. You're there. Today, this is not Bombay, this is Srikhanda. And Mahaprabhu's dancing in front of us. And many of us who are blind may get vision by Virachandra's glance. People were discussing amongst themselves, this is the way people should observe Ekadasi. That no one observed. Another person from an outlying village said, nobody in all the 14 worlds observes Ekadasi like the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And some of them were vowing, from now on, every Ekadasi, we will not sleep, we will not eat, we will not drink, we will simply chant the holy names of the Lord and dance. This Ekadasi, there was no question of tapasya. Everyone forgot about food and water. They were being nourished by the holy name and Hari Katha. There was nothing left. Now I know it's late and the feast is coming. But they weren't thinking like that. They were thinking, let this Ekadasi night extend forever. Let it never end. But it ended. And Mangalarti began. And the sun started to rise. And then Raghunandan Thakur came to all of the great Mahants, the associates of Mahaprabhu, and inquired from them, what would you like to do now? And the Mahants unanimously declared to him, we will take the prasad of Lord Gauranga. And Raghunandan was very, very happy, and he called his disciples and his followers, and he personally arranged the feast, big, glorious feast. Obscured all the ingredients which were in godowns, and by his instruction, they all started cooking. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of people there. And they were making so many preparations. And with such love that everything was like nectar. Then came the Rajbhog offering. And Raghunandan Thakur had the pujari offer it to deity of Lord Chaitanya. And then he called all the Mahants and all the assembled devotees to come to the temple to observe the beautiful arti, where the pujari was waving the lights, raising the ghee lamps, which so splendidly illuminated the eternal form of Lord Chaitanya. As the bells were ringing and the conch shells were blowing and the horns were playing, the devotees just stood transfixed with their eyes, gazing upon the beautiful form of Lord Chaitanya. And the Lord was gazing upon them in his deity form. It is described when devotees look at the deities, it is like a honeybee is looking at a lotus, at the nectar within a lotus flower. That is the way their eyes, just drinking nectar. And when the Rajbhog Arti ended, the deity was put to rest. And then Raghunandan Thakur arranged very nice seats for all the assembled devotees, especially the senior Mahants. And each one had a nice little sitting place and was given a big fresh banana leaf as a plate. And Raghunandan, Srinivasacharya, they were personally serving the prasad to their seniors. And as the Mahants were taking prasad, they were praising so many preparations, and each one is so exquisite in its fragrance and its flavor, and even the sight of it. Even just looking at this prasad is fulfilling our inner desire. When you're serving the Lord and serving His devotees, if there's actually a feeling of affection, then we will do everything as perfectly, as wonderfully as possible. Just this last summer of this year, I was at Sharanagati, which is a community in Western Canada. And I was invited to my very venerable and worshipable God sister Yamuna Devi Mataji's home for prasad. And it happened to be Ekadasi that day. And she prepared prasad with her own loving hands. She would personally cook for Srila Prabhupada. In fact, she wrote a cookbook that was rated by several different organizations as the #1 best cookbook of the year, of any type of cookbook in the whole world. Hare Krishna. And do you know what it was called? Lord Krishna's Cuisine. So, preaching through prasad is very nice. So when she offered it to her deities, Sri Sri Radha Ban Bihari, Prabhupada personally gave her those deities with his own loving hands. And she has worshipped them for over 30 years, every single day. She has a beautiful, simple little temple in her home. And she took it from the altar, and I saw the plate that the deities, it was extraordinary. Just what type of preparations. And then when she served each and every devotee, there was a whole table full of Shamsundar Prabhu was there, Malati was there, Dina Tarini was there, Janaki Mataji was there, Barbara was there, Janaki's friend. So many people were gathered. And each plate, the way the prasad was put on the devotee's plate, it was like a master artist would paint a masterpiece. It's not to just eat. No. Everything was just perfectly balanced with every other preparation. And it was like she made these different, out of food stuff, it looked to me, to my eyes, like every preparation had an altar of some other preparation to hold it. It was just so clean and perfect. And so much time and energy and love had to go into making the plates like that. And the amazing thing is she did it in a few seconds. Maybe a couple of minutes. And each preparation was just, it was a feast just looking at it. Feast to the eyes. We were all looking and thinking, we don't want to eat this. We don't want to, once our fingers, it's just going to disturb this masterpiece. It just looked so perfect. Your heart just melts. So much care and attention, so much love for the Vaishnavas. It's one thing doing it for Krishna, which hardly anybody does. But then to take his prasad and serve it in that way to the devotees, it was unbelievable. But there was a problem. We didn't want to touch it. We didn't want to mess up this beautiful art. But the fragrance. The fragrance made us change our minds. And then the taste was intoxicating. Really intoxicating. Each preparation was like a unique spiritual experience. It was like a revelation into the spiritual world. This is our parampara. So when the Mahants saw the beauty of this big, big feast, so many preparations, they were just glorifying. And then the fragrance of these preparations was intoxicating their hearts. Because understand, prasad is Krishna's mercy. You're not seeing food. You're not smelling food. You're not eating food. It's Krishna's mercy. Devotees don't eat prasad. Devotees perform prasad seva. That means we're serving the prasad. A higher platform than tasting prasad is being tasted by the prasad. Haribo. Prasad seva. We understand the Lord's mercy is none different than the Lord. The Lord's energy is manifesting within this prasad. And therefore my attitude, my disposition, my consciousness is serving the prasad by honoring it. And how do we honor it? With a grateful heart. By nourishing our body for the purpose. And how do we reciprocate with prasad? That our intention is we're not eating it just to enjoy. We're eating it to energize our life, our soul, our consciousness, our body, our everything with the mercy of the Lord, so that we can use that energy to serve Him, to serve His devotees, and to chant the holy names. And sometimes we might get prasad that really tastes good. I mean, it's intoxicating, so delicious. So some devotees may think, this is Maya, sense enjoyment, tastes good, what should I do? It's not that you shouldn't enjoy the taste of prasad. Krishna's making Himself so pleasing so that you can enjoy. But what should be the consciousness? To reciprocate. Krishna, by His causeless, inconceivable mercy, is giving me so much happiness in the flavor of this prasad. I must reciprocate by making Him happy. By our grateful heart, by taking this prasad, by allowing this prasad to just surcharge my life with enthusiasm to serve Him, to serve His devotees, and to preach His glories to the world. Haribo! That is prasad seva. It's an altogether different experience than eating. But it is a matter of consciousness. It's a matter of whether we are in touch with reality or whether we are in the dull state of mundane bodily conception. So these great mahants were praising the prasad, praising the sight, praising the smell, praising the taste, and they were eating and eating so much. We told the story on another occasion in the Ketari festival. Janava Devi personally cooked prasad for all the devotees. Now, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. The consort of Nityananda Prabhu is serving prasad. Hare Krishna. And even Raghunandan Thakur and the others, they were eating the prasad, and they just kept eating. They didn't stop. They usually just eat a little. But they just kept eating it, not eating, honoring. They just kept honoring and honoring and honoring more and more and more and more and more and more. Why? Because they were thinking, we may never ever in our whole life get Janava Devi's home-cooked prasad from her own hands again. Let this meal never end. And none of them overate, because they had this consciousness. Another personality who was there in this festival was another devotee of Srikanda. He was right there assisting Raghunandan in all the hospitality kirtan in Prasad Seva. And that was Lochandas Thakur. Great Vaishnav. Even today we sing his songs. Nitai Gunamani, Parama Karuna, Akaroda, Paramananda, Nityananda Rai. These are just a few of the great songs written by Lochandas Thakur. He was born not far from Srikanda. And should I speak something more? It's becoming late. I should end here. But I'll continue anyway. Please forgive me. We all are what we are. So please be tolerant for just a few more minutes. After speaking all this about Prasad Seva, why am I doing this to you? Because separation makes union more pleasing. So, Lochan Das Thakur, according to the tradition in Bengal at the time, generally people got married when they were very young. Prabhupada explains that his eldest sister was married when she was 9 years old. Hare Krishna. Another one of his sisters was 12. And the mother was thinking that she has failed as a mother because she's not married yet. Hare Krishna. So we cannot imitate that in today's Western influenced society. But that's how things were. What to speak of 500 years ago. So Lochan Das Thakur got married when he was a little boy. And his wife was just a little girl. Bhaktivinoda Thakur married when he was a little boy with a little girl. And he explains that our marriage was like a marriage of two little dolls. You know how little girls, they have their dolls and they pretend they're getting married, something like that. Very small. But the tradition was that they don't live together until they grow up. The wife lives with her husband, lives with her father and mother and family, but she knows within her heart who her husband is. And the husband is living with his family, but he knows in his heart who his wife is. And they don't even meet very often. But they know. They meet sometimes, in a public setting. And then when they actually grow up, then they live together. That was tradition in the olden days. So Lochan Das Thakur got married when he was a small boy, but then he became so completely renounced and detached from anything material. And he accepted Narahari Sarkar as his guru, so he went to move to Sri Khanda to be with his guru. He was a little boy. And years went by, he was studying and performing Nam Sankirtan and hearing the scriptures about Lord Chaitanya, reading Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. Oh, it was wonderful. But then he grew up. And his wife grew up. And his in-laws, his wife's mother, father, they were very upset. It's time for you to take our daughter. But he was just absorbed in Krishna Bhakti. So they sent a messenger to Narahari Sarkar and said, your disciple is neglecting his prescribed duty. He's married to this girl. He's married to her. Why is he not coming? Why is he staying in Guru Ashram? This is not proper. So Narahari Sarkar said, you go. You go and you take care of your wife. You go to your in-laws' house. Hare Krishna. Sometimes gurus do like that. So he went to his in-laws' village. But there was a problem. He got married when he was so young that he didn't know where his in-laws lived. He didn't even know what they looked like. So he saw a young girl, young lady, and she was drawing water out of a well. And he asked her, do you know where this house is? He said, because he learned from his guru to address every woman as mother. So he said, oh, mother, venerable mother, do you know where this particular house is? And she said, yes, it's this way, this house over here. So he went to the house, and there he saw his father-in-law and mother-in-law, and said, I'm here. Guru's order, I'm here. They said, okay, we'll get your wife now. And they went to get, and it was the same girl that he asked directions from. She didn't recognize him, he didn't recognize her. So he said, I've already accepted you as my mother. When I saw you, I accepted you as my mother. I spoke to you and addressed you as mother. So there's no way you can ever be anything else to me except mother. Once I accept someone as mother, that's permanent. So like that. So we went back to Guru Maharaj's ashram and everyone was satisfied. How could you live with mother like this? But he was such a great devotee that Narahari Sarkar ordered him to write a beautiful poetic biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the local language. And that book, written by Lochan Das Thakur, is celebrated for all eternity as Sri Chaitanya Mangal. He was one of the Srikandavasis. So Lochan Das Thakur, Raghunandan Thakur and others, they served the prasad to the great Mahants, and after they took the prasad to their full satisfaction, the Mahants said to Raghunandan, "You take with us. You're an associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. You take with us." He said, "No, please give me permission. Please give me permission. Let me serve you. And my greatest joy will be to watching you honoring prasad." So he was serving. And while all the Mahants were eating prasad, should I continue? Well, all the Mahants, you can be enjoying prasad through your ears now. While all the Mahants were eating prasad, he went to the Bhog Mandir and made a plate for his Guru Maharaj, Narahari Sarkar. Because this was a festival for his disappearance. And with very, very deep emotions of separation, Raghunandan Thakur took that plate and brought it all alone to a secluded place where Narahari Sarkar used to sit and perform his bhajan. He went into that little room, that bhajan kutir, and there was the seat that Narahari would sit on. And in front of that seat, he placed on a small table the leaf plate of prasad, of bhoga, and then he had a garland. Because all there was representing his guru was the seat that he sat on, just a little wooden seat. And he took a garland and just placed it down in front of the seat. And then he sat right in front of that bhog offering and garland, and with loving prayers, in the mood of intense separation, he offered it for the pleasure of his Gurudev. And after chanting the mantras and making the offering, he came out of the kutir and closed the doors to allow his Guru to eat in privacy. After a few minutes, he knocked on the door out of respect and opened it. And right before his eyes, he witnessed the celestial form of Narahari Sarkar sitting right before his eyes on his seat. Raghunandan Thakur was overwhelmed in intense ecstasy. He was seeing his Guru Maharaj again, who appeared in a spiritual body to give him darshan. Raghunandan Thakur fell into an ocean of feelings of separation when he saw his Guru Maharaj, because he knew that he has left the world and he's only appearing for a few moments. He didn't just stand there and look. His mood was servant. He brought water in and washed his Guru Maharaj's hands because he had just taken prasad, and bowed down to him. And the form of his Guru Maharaj disappeared. Raghunandan Thakur, with eyes pouring with ecstatic tears of love and gratitude, he took the seat, the wooden seat of Raghunandan Thakur, and just placed his head on it, weeping and crying. He picked it up and placed it on his head. Then he put it down and immediately ran back to the Mahant. Not ran back, but quickly went back to the Mahants and continued serving them their prasad, not telling anyone what he had seen. His service to the Vaishnavas would not be in any way compromised even by such an ecstatic darshan as this, because he knew seeing Guru is one thing, but life is serving Guru. And what does Guru want? What will please him? Serving his associates, serving the devotees. In this way, the festival had come to an end. And then Raghunandan Thakur, who fasted the whole day before, half the day today, fed all the Vaishnavas, fed his Guru Maharaj. Everyone said, Raghunandan, you take prasad. He said, no, I will serve the servers. Then all those who served the prasad with him, he served all of them. And then after everyone present was filled with the Lord's mercy, with the permission of the Vaishnavas, he took some prasad. The next day everyone said that they had to leave, but Raghunandan Thakur begged them, please stay at least 2 or 4 more days. They all agreed. They could not leave. He wouldn't let them leave. Please stay. Some devotees, Srivasa's 2 brothers said, we have to go. He said, no, you cannot go. You must stay. Please stay. All right, we'll stay. We'll stay. That is love. On the 4th day, when it was time for everyone to leave, Virachandra, Nityananda Nandana, held Raghunandan Thakur by the hand and expressed his profound appreciation and showered him with mercy. And similarly, Virachandra just showered his love upon Srinivasacharya and all of the assembled devotees. And then Raghunandan Thakur arranged wonderful gifts for every devotee to take with them. Gifts of packed prasad, gifts of articles that they could use to worship Krishna, remnants of the Lord. And everyone with fully satisfied hearts departed from Srikanda. And thus ends today's narration. Thank you very much. Chanakarta Prabhu, would you like to speak something? No. Why no? Can someone come here?
Your preaching is heard all over the earth, smashing Maya, saving souls, giving them mirth. Transcendental happiness that is hard to be had, destroying lamentation and fear in all that is mad. You're like Krishna's bees in a hive, buzzing with spiritual life, eliminating birth and death and all material strife. Like Prahlad Maharaj, you don't want to play. You give Krishna to all, and at his lotus feet you stay. Bhagavad Gita, your sword, to cut through the knots, preaching with no discrimination, even to tots. Prabhupada, oh Srila Prabhupada, you must be so proud, watching these great souls selling your books to the crowd. It is your mission to see your books sold in cores, saving the conditioned souls from material chores. These devotees work so hard to see your mission complete. Please take them, my master, to your divine lotus feet. I thank you, O Savior, for bringing me here, for making me happy, for making it clear. Just a moment's association is all that we need to erase duplicity, hatred, lust, envy, and greed. To Srila Prabhupada I pray, on you all, his blessings never cease, and your sincere service to Radhanath Swami forever increase. So, this is how I feel in my heart about all of you wonderful Vaishnavas here in Shopati. It's enlivening for me just to be here and to see all of you in your service to Maharaj. And it increases my love for Krishna, my gratitude to Lord Krishna for everything that He's given me in my life, especially any amounts of small service I was able to perform for Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, when Prabhupada was registering the movement, it was suggested to him that he name it the International Society for God Consciousness, not Krishna, for God, because someone suggested that people will think that it's just some Hindu god's name, Krishna. But Prabhupada, of course, rejected this idea, because the name of Krishna, that the name alone, those two syllables, can save us from so much danger, the danger of sliding down into so many hellish species of life. So, Krishna is known by many names, innumerable names, millions and billions, unlimited names, because of His unlimited devotees. But this name of Krishna is brought to us within the Maha Mantra by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is what can save this world from all the disaster that is probably coming very soon. So many wars we see in the world, so much destruction going on, so much hate and envy amongst different religions. So Krishna has given us this opportunity to serve the pure devotees. And I thank you all for increasing my devotional service just by being in your association. So now you can take prasadam. Haribol.
Not yet. First we will perform Nam Sankirtan. Of course, if any of you want prasad, you can go.
Hare Krishna.
It is understandable. Thank you very, very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.